Today we're going to be covering Spider-Man 2, and basically this is going to be a critique video, even though I'm very late on the subject. I just decided I was going to review a movie for once, so yeah, enjoy the video. This movie starts off with Peter coming out of this closet. He's trying to deliver the food, the pizza, right? And he comes out of this closet, and not in a weird way, not in the way a lot of people take coming out of the closet. Anyways, he comes out unchanged, changed into his normal clothes from his suit. But it's obvious that he changed in the closet, but there's no stairs or elevator for him to be able to get in that closet without someone else seeing Spider-Man walk into that closet and come out as a normal person. So either that woman knows that the secretary that's a bitch knows that he's Spider-Man, or else he changed in a closet that supposedly he could get out of. It's a really dumb scene, and I don't really like it. I think it shouldn't have been placed in the movie. He should have obviously just done it on the roof. But I don't know. That's how they make this scene. So it's Sam Raimi's decision. It's not mine. I don't get an input on this movie. But once again, like I said, it's dumb the way he does it. So then this next scene, it's Peter's birthday, and supposedly he doesn't know what the date is, which is really dumb. It truly is. He's supposed to, how do you not know when your own birthday is? Anyways, Aunt May, Harry, and MJ are all there, and it's an emotionless scene, and none of the actors really put any input into the movie, except for they're like, oh, you don't know it's your birthday? Oh, cool. And then there's a sign in the background, the one that says happy birthday that everyone has when they're a kid. It's so decorated that you literally can't see the words happy birthday in balloon. You just have to assume it says happy birthday, not like it's a boy. I don't know. It's really dumb. It's a really dumb nitpick as well, but I just thought it was funny. No emotions, actors suck, and there's no good sign. So then this scene is literally right after it as well. MJ is sitting behind Peter and he's taking out the trash. They have a talk, right? I don't really remember what the talk was about because it shouldn't have been in the movie. It was a waste of time. But basically, I don't know how to explain this. MJ's a bitch, and she's talking to him about how he loved her and all, and he's like, yeah, I love you, but I can't date you. And then she just randomly pulls out the fact that she's dating someone, and of course Peter's upset by this, and I think she did it to make him upset, but it's a really dumb thing to just bring up after talking about how Peter used to love you, and it's just shoving it in his face that you're not dating him. I think it's a bitch move, and it makes me hate MJ more. I know it's supposed to give more character to her, but it shouldn't have been in the movie, her being such a bitch, but nah, it's what everyone in this movie is like, and it's not really just MJ, and it's not just really the secretary lady. I mean, even Aunt May is, and Aunt May is supposed to be the nice person in every single movie. This movie is just really a grumpy old story about Peter getting beat. Anyways, this scene, he's getting, that car right behind him is about to hit his motorcycle, he hops off of it, and it's the only scene that makes me really laugh, because right after this, there's two kids that watch Peter jump over the car off the motorcycle and land. And they're like, whoa, how'd you do that? And he goes, and he's stumbling with his words because he doesn't know how to explain to them. So he basically just says, eat your greens. And this one kid goes, my mom always says that, but I never believed it. And it's kind of a funny moment, and it makes you show how Peter's actually a nice person and helps out the community. He's obviously helping these kids by telling them to do that, and he's helping the parent as well. He's making it not as difficult. I love that, and it's a really great scene, and it can show for some comedy. It shows good character for Peter, which is really surprising in any of these movies, except for the first one. The first one is the best, and the other one's just kind of our shit. This one's a grumpy old story, and the other one's just so crowded, it sucks ass. Anyways, this next scene is basically Doc Ock showing his science experiment, basically. So Harry and Oscorp funded him and gave him this weird thing that only 25 pounds are on the Earth, and he's showing it off, and he shows off his tentacles, which are supposed to help him do it, and it goes out of control, obviously, because it's Doc Ock, and we all know what's gonna happen. So it goes out of control. It starts to suck in all the metals, and it's the sun. It's the sun, but miniaturized. And all of a sudden, like, everyone just flees and freaks out, and Peter runs away to go dress up as Spider-Man, and right before Harry gets hit by, like, a machine, Spider-Man grabs him. In that photo that I showed you, he's like, "We aren't resolved," even though he literally just saved his life, and Harry would be dead if it wasn't for him. I find it dumb, and I don't know, overall in this movie, they make Harry's character just really bad, but everyone's character is in this movie. So, anyways, this next scene is the horror scene, as I call it. It's really Sam Raimi showing off his Evil Dead, I think it was, the movie he made, horror movie. It's just a whole bunch of people screaming, and it's kind of funny because, like in Evil Dead, one guy grabs a chainsaw and goes at the tentacles with it, because that's what's happening. The tentacles are going crazy and killing all the doctors that are trying to get that removed from Doc Ock. It's funny at first, but it drags on for so long. It really should have only been a few moments of people getting killed, and then Doc Ock getting up like he does at the end of this scene. The scene really should have been like a minute or two shorter. It sucks. The first moments were like, oh no, and then it's just like, okay, when's this scene over? Can we finish this? I know there's ladies screaming. Cool. It's a staple, I think, in all Sam Raimi films, because every single Spider-Man film has a woman screaming, but this one's like filled with it. Every single time anything happens, there's a woman screaming. It's annoying. Anyways, this next scene is a fight scene. He takes Aunt May, he puts her on like this building, like throws her off. Peter has to like fight to keep her alive and not fall and die while fighting Doc Ock. It's really just Doc Ock throwing Spider-Man around, which, it's cool. It's still an action scene. I like it more than the horror scene, even though I'm more of a horror fan. It really could do a lot more though. Like they should have put some reason for the actual fight. It's just like, I don't even remember exactly why it happened. I just remember Spider-Man all of a sudden going up there and fighting Doc Ock. Oh yeah, he robbed a bank and took Aunt May. My bad. That's what happens. Peter, of course, ran away, went to go suit up, came back, Aunt May's gone. It really was just a shit scene. I can't deny. I mean, it was good. It was good. It was a good fight, I guess. Peter getting thrown around. And Aunt May is funny, kinda, in one part. She, like, hits Doc Ock in the back with her umbrella because he tries to stab Peter. Anyways, this next scene. This is my favorite part to this scene. There's a moment where, right after this photo, they start to fall. And it's like, it's not slow motion, but all of the music stops. And it's just the sound of them punching each other. I don't know. I like that thought of movies, of just having no music at all. And it's just the fighting. I like that thought a lot. And it was a really good part to the fight. It added my favorite part to the fight, and probably my favorite fight, except for one that's coming up later, but we all know which one that is. So, I can't really add anything to it, other than it was cool to hear, like, just sit there and listen to nothing but for, like, seriously 2 seconds. I wish, like, a lot more to the fight was like that, like, basically them falling almost to the ground. I don't know. That sounds like a cool idea to me. That fight could have been a lot better, except for them just throwing each other around. I really can't add anything else to this. I'm just waiting for the next scene after that. Yeah, this scene, you can see my mouse right there. It's on Spider-Man's suit. What that photo is supposed to tell you is Spider-Man in this, one of the many subtopics, is Spider-Man's like, my power doesn't work, so he talks to this doctor, and this doctor's all like, it's in the mind. It's a whole long bunch of bullshit, and doesn't really matter. So yeah, Peter's like, oh, it's in the mind. Well, you know what? I don't want to be Spider-Man anymore. So he throws this thing in the trash. J. Jonah Jameson gets it from a trash guy, and he plays around with the suit. He like acts like Spider-Man, and it's kind of funny. It's like the only really funny scene in the movie. Except for one where J. Jonah is like, oh, what's the name for Doc Ock? Anyways, it was dumb. The entire subtopic wasn't even really completed. He just all of a sudden was like, oh, I'm Spider-Man again? And that's right before the scene that's going to come up. I don't know. It was alright. It was a dumb subtopic though. Oh wait, no, my bad. There's this scene. And this scene was annoying. Peter basically admits that he's the reason why Uncle Ben died. and he explains what the events of what happened. Like Aunt May supposedly doesn't know. He explains to her, I was there. I actually didn't go to the library. I was trying to get money to impress MJ, getting a car. And she just sits there the entire time with an emotionless face, just like, what the fuck? And Peter, this is probably my favorite part of like Tobey Maguire actually acting and not just punching and being emotionless. He kind of like actually makes you feel bad, and he makes you feel like Peter's actually guilty. It was a good scene. It was my favorite scene that Tobey's in, and it also added actually quite a bit to Peter's character, surprisingly, even though like everyone's a bitch in this movie. But yeah, Aunt May, I don't know, Aunt May wasn't Aunt May in this movie, and this scene really shows it, because in the end, she just stomps off, goes up into another room in the top, and leaves. This scene is basically, MJ's like, oh, hey, well, you know how I rejected you earlier, like 500 times? Well, my mind was just playing tricks. I actually do want to date you. And Peter's like, I was just messing around because he wants to be Spider-Man again. And when he chose that he was ready to be in a relationship with her, he wasn't Spider-Man. So, then she's like, oh, are you serious? And at one point she, like, tries to make him kiss her. And then Doc Ock comes in and it's like, Peter, where's Spider-Man? Because Harry's like, I'll only give you the thing you need for your science experiment if you get Peter to tell you where Spider-Man is. So, he's sitting there, he's like, Peter, where's Spider-Man? And just takes MJ because he's like, I don't know, because Spider-Man's not a thing anymore. And this is the scene where he's like, oh, I'm Spider-Man now. And he just all of a sudden starts like, Doc Ock throws him into a pile. The pile goes on top of him. He takes MJ, and all of a sudden Peter just like busts up like Spider-Man again. He's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna beat you up. And then this is the scene that leads to the best. The train scene. This scene, probably the best choreography out of this entire movie. Like, there's only 2 or 3 fights. I think there's 3. This is the best choreography. And there's not any dialogue, which is not really like Spider-Man, because Spider-Man would be, like, taunting his enemies. But it's still cool. This scene, it's the best fight scene out of any single Spider-Man movie. Even Homecoming, which is my favorite Spider-Man movie, isn't as good as this movie's train scene. And honestly, Doc Ock kind of shows Peter who's up in this, because he just beats the shit out of him again. Even though Peter, like, he gets a moment to come back, he, like, gets knocked off the trains, and he comes back and starts saving people, but then he immediately gets his ass handed to him. Which is kind of funny, because, like, it shows that even if he overcomes his own self, Doc Ock is better. And I like it. And then there's this part, which I'm going to talk a little bit about by itself. This part is Peter stopping the train. It's actually kind of emotional, because after he stops this train, all the passengers pull him in, because he, like, faints from all the stress, I think it's supposed to be. After he faints, they all pull him in, and his mask isn't on, as you can see. And they're all like, oh shit, he's actually just a kid fighting all these guys. And it shows, like, the humanity of New York, because usually it's just Peter and MJ is basically what the movies are, which is annoying, because MJ sucks and their relationship has nothing. But this scene just really adds to New York, and it actually is a very emotional scene. But then Doc Ock takes him and basically beats the shit out of him, like, literally right afterwards. But yeah, that's the best scene in the movie. By far the best Spider-Man moment ever. Even, like, the Homecoming scene where he lifts stuff. That beats it by far, because that's the most iconic and shows the most emotion. This scene, it's the final battle. I skipped, like, 1 or 2 scenes, because they're not really anything important to the movie. This final battle, it was alright. It's the same thing, really. It was just, if you watch the scene from where Doc shows his little science toy, it's basically that, but there's more Doc Ock beating the shit out of Spider-Man. The entire movie, Spider-Man doesn't really overpower Doc Ock. Doc Ock just easily beats him up, which is okay. I mean, I like it a little bit. I kind of wish that there was a moment where Peter, like, learned something and a way to beat him instead of just, I'm gonna lose and I'm just gonna lose and eventually find a way to get him to not kill me. This scene sucks, honestly. It was alright. It was alright, definitely. And first Spider-Man had a better ending to the movie than this. But I just want to talk about Doc Ock's character. Doc Ock's character overall was great. I really wish they would have given him more screen time, because really, the only screen time he gets is you get to somewhat learn who he is, his wife, who dies in the science experiment. It adds character to him, but then they don't really show him except for the horror scene. Like, just afterwards, he's like, I'm going to finish my science project, and I like that. That whole idea is a really good idea. Instead of him just being like, I want to kill Spider-Man, he really just has a reason. He wants to finish his science project. And I really wish they would have given him a lot more screen time, because he's a great, the actor was great, his character is great. They wrote him really good, but after the science experiment gone wrong, he was just a bad guy, and he wasn't anything special, and I really wish they had added a lot more to him, because he was like Peter's mentor. If you ever played Spider-Man PS4, it's literally that. It's Peter's mentor gone bad. And then right after that, they have this scene. Peter tells her that he can't date her because then enemies will try to kill her, like has happened every single movie so far. And she has a wedding that they've been talking about like the entire movie, with an entire different subplot that literally doesn't matter. It was shit. It was really shit. She literally runs out of the wedding, doesn't go. Her fiance gets mad. She goes to Peter's house, and even though he has spider sense, he doesn't notice that she's right behind him. And he's like, oh, MJ, you're getting married. Why are you here? And she's like, I chose you, Peter. Even though literally a few minutes before this, he says, we can't date because people are going to kill you. And I don't want that. It was really, really dumb. I don't know. MJ's character is just shit in these movies. I don't like her. Zendaya was a lot better. So, basically, I just wanted to do this. I'm going to sum up the movie. Subplots. Everything except for Doc Ock was shit in this movie. Every single thing except for J. Jonah Jameson, the Daily Bugle crew, and Doc Ock were really bad in this movie. And I hate it. I really wish this movie was better, but it's not. It's shit. It's not a bad Spider-Man movie, I guess. It's more of like The Notebook. It's more of like a romance story than anything, but I just wanted to sum up. Doc Ock's the only good thing in this movie. It's beloved for the train scene, but that's it. So I rate this, I'd say a 6, 7 out of 10. I'm going to go with the 6. So yeah, that's my review on Spider-Man 2. If you enjoyed, like, subscribe, comment down below any other movie reviews that you'd like to see. And I'll try to take up your ideas, not your things. So yeah, thank you for watching. Have a good day.